right, hey everyone, welcome to community groups. Grateful for you guys in these groups, and the season's winding down, so pray you guys have had a great community group season. A few more weeks left. Really looking forward to baptism next week and next couple weeks. And if you would, take a little time just to encourage the folks in your group who are Christians who've never been baptized. You should be baptized. And I don't want to hear about what about, no, something Jesus does and Jesus commands. And that's probably enough reason if you're a Christian to go public. Christians aren't cowards. We don't hide. We stand up and say, the Lord saved me. Amazing text in Gideon. Last week we saw God take a scared man and move him out to the battlefield. He's trying to strengthen him. And this week we see him go to war and win. Didn't spend much time in chapter 7. Really a lot of the time in chapter 8, because what happens after Gideon's being victorious? What happens after he gets strong and he becomes a leader? And in this passage, we saw 5 tests. 5 tests all leaders have to pass if they're going to be good leaders. The first is the criticism test. Lead anything, there will be criticism. This is the one Gideon actually passes. The next 4, he does really poorly, because after he does so well in criticism, we see the weariness test. There's going to be times when you serve, when you lead, when you minister, you get tired. It's important to deal with that on the front end, to ask yourself, what kind of rhythms are going to be in my life? What does Sabbath look like for me? Do I get a weekly break? Do I take some time to unplug? Do I know myself well enough that I know what refreshes me? Is there something I do quarterly? Is there something I do annually that's a little different than a weekly Sabbath to make sure the tank's full? What's vacation look like? What's rest look like? Realize there's a difference between rest with the Lord and recovery and leisure. Sometimes the mistake we make in North Jersey is the breaks we get go right to leisure. Leisure doesn't refill us. It only further drains us. And this is where people end up in this awful trap. You know, they work really hard and then they do a bunch of leisure and then they try to reset through social media. None of those things are going to actually give you rest. And so make sure either we're going to get some rest or rest will be imposed on us. We'll get sick, we'll break down, we'll disqualify, we'll burn out. And you need to make sure on the front end you have a plan for leadership weariness. The third test we see is the strength test. It's really sad. Gideon finally goes strong, but rather than strong for the Lord, he goes strong against the Lord's people. He uses his strength to be harsh. He uses his strength against the people he's supposed to be strong for. If you're a Christian, you're supposed to be strong for the people of God. You're supposed to be strong for the weak. You're supposed to be strong for justice. And you're to be strong against evil, strong against sin, strong against wickedness. And sadly, Gideon is using his strength harshly towards the people of God, and that's just called being a bully, right? Be strong, but strength is only as good as how you use it. The answer is not to be strong, because there's always wicked strong people. No, you need righteous strong people to balance that and call upon the Lord. And so that's the strength test. He does not do well in that. Finally, we see, fourthly, the success trap and the success test. And what happens when we get successful? Gideon's like, don't make me king. But then he's like, I sure am going to live like one, though. He takes a bunch of money. He gets a harem, has a bunch of kids. He names his child, my father is king, which is just like, man, you're doing everything but taking the title. He's got great, this is interesting. Sometimes leaders say all the right things, but do all the wrong actions. And really, what you have to watch, Jesus says, we'll know them by their fruit. Can they pass the success test? Are they more interested in the mission that the leader embraces or the trappings and the perks of leadership? Gideon's a guy who he really likes the trappings and the perks, but he wants to avoid the responsibility. Lastly, there's the worship test. It's really sad. He takes all the gold, makes an idol with it, puts it up in his hometown. All the people worship it, which, by the way, is exactly where this started when God said, tear down the idol in your home. It's back to the same place. And ultimately, it's funny for us that he'd take about $3 million worth of gold and make a big idol with it. But the truth is, where your treasure is, there your heart is. And whatever you worship is where your resources go. and you'll learn a lot about what you love and what you worship. Just follow your resources, you'll see it. And all these tests are put before him: the criticism test, weariness test, strength test, success test, worship test. Here's the question: which of those 5 for you are the hardest? Which of those 5 for you do you think you're doing the best with? Hope you guys have a great discussion. Awesome book, and looking forward to seeing how it goes.